Hush falls over the room. Good evening, everyone. It is Monday, November 4th. It is 6:30. It's time to get the village meeting going. Please stand for the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Your roll call, please.
Trustee Ruffato is absent with prior notice. Trustee Kruger?
Present.
Trustee Lang?
Here.
Trustee Vito?
Here.
Trustee Papantos?
Present.
Trustee Vogel?
Here.
President Horton?
Here. You have before you the minutes. I'm supposed to talk directly into this thing. You have, before I get scolded. You have before you the minutes of the regular meeting of October 7th, 2024. I need a motion for their approval.
So moved.
Trustee Papantos, second,
Second.
or not? Trustee Kruger, roll call.
Trustee Kruger?
Yes.
Trustee Lang?
Yes.
Trustee Vito?
Yes.
Trustee Papantos?
Yes.
Trustee Vogel?
Yes.
President Horton?
Yes, any changes to the agenda?
There are no changes this evening.
Excellent. Clerk Brady, consent, no. Citizens' comments and
Yes, I have
concerns.
3. All right. Citizen concern and comments. Members of the public may address the board with comments regarding issues relevant to village business. No citizen shall speak for more than 5 minutes without consent of the board. Members of the general public who wish to address the board must sign the request to speak form prior to commencement of the public meeting. Ms. Albrecht?
Just as a reminder, this is time for citizens to make comments and express their concerns, and for the board to listen. Neither the board nor staff will be answering questions. Good evening.
Good evening. My name is Leslie Albrecht. I live at 1616 East Canterbury Drive in Arlington Heights. My property backs up to this monstrosity that has been approved. I'm here tonight to focus on your agenda item number 5 and number 6 under Plan Commission recommendations. I wrote to you guys last week. I've been in contact with Miguel Ortez, and I received this email from him today. I'm not sure if you guys have followed up on this, but hello, Leslie. I wanted to follow up with the voicemail I left you. Today I sent the draft letter for review and hopefully will go out sometime during this week. We are waiting for the Village of Wheeling Groundwater Ordinance number 5687 to be adopted by the Illinois EPA. It needs to be reviewed and approved by our legal department. This process could be a bit time-consuming, but it's the final step before we issue the final NFR letter. I will keep you updated when I receive notification of the ordinance adoption. As always, please reach back to me with any further questions. I, again, asked the village board of the town of Wheeling, where many residents oppose this project, to understand the comments of the residents and to not let this project go forward without getting the NFR letter and the correct recommendations for this property. I am putting my house on the market. I've been on Canterbury Drive for 24 years. I will be putting my house on the market right after Thanksgiving because the property values will certainly go down. Thank you.
Anne Marie Lundstrom?
Hello, Anne Marie Lundstrom, 2644 North Waterman, Arlington Heights. I feel like I'm here as much as you guys are. Anyway, here we are again. We still come, even though the board has not listened to the residents that have the biggest impact from gas and wash truck stop. We are asking if the NFR letter has been presented yet. I know at the Plan Commission meeting, it was said that the village would let gas and wash proceed with construction even though they did not expect the NFR letter until December. It was said if they didn't present the NFR letter, then gas and wash would not be allowed to open. The whole point of the NFR letter is to know that the land has been approved before construction. Letting gas and wash proceed without the NFR letter is a disservice to the residents adjacent to this vacant land. I talked to an attorney, and he said we're a little late to be doing anything for you. You should have came to us sooner. But anyway, he said that the land is not blighted. He said it's called brownfield. I have a definition here I'm giving each one of you. And it's vacant land that has been used for a gas station site and has some soil contamination from underground tanks, and cleaning is needed. That's the whole point of the NFR letter. We had been advised that we can hire our own company and do our own consulting. If nothing is wrong with the land, they should not mind our company checking the levels from the dry cleaners and the old gas station. If they did all the necessary work, then the land will pass inspection and it will be okay to be built on. It's a shame that we didn't get the representation that the residents deserved. They can build it, but we will not come. Thank you.
Nancy Litwin?
My name is Nancy Litwin. I live 3210 North Falls Drive West in Arlington Heights, very close to this project that you're planning. I have a question for you. We've been invited to talk at various your meetings and everything like that, and tell you what we think about the project going forward. I want to know if before we began to speak and were invited to attend, was the decision already made to have this thing in place without even consulting anybody? Because it seems that no matter what we say, it doesn't have an impact on you. In today's announcement in the Herald, it says, area residents opposed the redevelopment plan at public meetings, expressing fears about traffic, pollution, crime, and other potential issues. We spilled our heart out to you. We begged you not to do this. We talked about the benzene in the gas vapor, and that small children exposed to that have a general tendency towards childhood leukemia, and that's what you're doing. After the first meeting, and I went up to one of the commissioners, as the first people that voted, one meeting I attended, and I said, after you heard everything that we said about the dangers of having this in a community where there's so many young families, how in the world could you vote yes? And you know what he said to me? He said to me, because the vote isn't about the people, it's about the codes. And then somebody wrote to the your community planning development board or something and asked, has a health risk survey been done also pursuant to the notes from the meeting wherein the development was approved? And you know what the answer was? No such survey has been conducted. It is not a condition of approval by the Plan Commission nor the Village Board of Trustees. The health risks, the caring, the good environment, the general population, not a concern in the decisions that you've made for this area. I don't understand how. I had written so many emails to you as a group at the beginning. I never got one response saying, at least I read it. I said, don't respond, just say I read it. I asked you to get out of your car, not look at the lot, but walk through the communities that surrounded it on all four sides. Look at the children playing outside. Look at the older people walking their dogs. Go up and down Hintz. You see bicycles going up and down the road, right near that lot where kids are playing. And nobody did it. I'm sure nobody did it. I'm sure that none of you will be affected by this. None of you live near that lot. None of you know people or care about anybody who goes by that lot. But you are disrupting families and peace of mind. I haven't slept in weeks and weeks and weeks. I have a 4-year-old granddaughter that lives very close. And every night I worry about her health and well-being, her safety. You heard people talk about how they had gambling addicts. They are gambling addicts. We've had them in our family, and you're putting this gambling thing right in the middle where people live on all four sides. I can't think of a good reason to have it. Can you tell me, was this decision made before you heard any of us speak? Can anybody tell me? It was a done deal before you let us speak? Hello? Was it a done deal, President Horker, before you let us speak?
We don't engage in conversation here.
I mean, because you didn't care what we said, because you don't live there. And that's what I see, and that's what the community is learning. This is what the community is learning about the people who are elected into office to take care of their well-being, their safety, their good health, the general environment. And I heard Leslie say her house is going up for sale. Hers isn't the only one. And our property values are going to go down. I can't think of one good thing that's going to happen for the people that live there, and you are the ones that put this in place. And I hope you're sleeping well, because most of us are not. Thank you very much.
That's it, President Horker.
Thank you. Staff reports, Mr. Kaup, you have some information for us?
Yes, President Horker, members of the board, I have some important information about pumpkin removal. When pumpkins end up in landfills after Halloween, they have a difficult time breaking down because oftentimes the landfills don't provide enough oxygen to decompose properly. They can release methane, which is a harmful greenhouse gas. To divert pumpkins from landfills, residents should compost them. The Village of Wheeling directs residents to a program called SCARCE, which is an environmental nonprofit organization that provides many locations throughout the Chicagoland area to bring pumpkins and other gourds for recycling, for composting. The two upcoming locations closest to Wheeling residents include the City of Rolling Meadows at the Rolling Meadows Public Works Department at 3900 Birdnick Street. That is going to be on Friday, November the 8th from 9 a.m. to 2 p.m. and Saturday, November the 9th, also from 9 a.m. to 2 p.m. They can also go to the Village of Northbrook at 1515 Lake Cook Road on Saturday, November the 9th from 12 to 3. If residents want to have that information repeated to them, they can always call the Department of Public Works, and we'd be happy to share that with them.
Thank you, Dan.
You're welcome.
Clerk Brady, consent agenda.
Okay. Consent agenda. All items listed on the consent agenda are considered to be routine by the village board. All will be enacted by one motion. There will be no separate discussion of these items unless the board members or citizens so request, in which event the item will be removed from the general order of business and considered after all other agenda items. 11A. Ordinance declaring a surplus and authorizing the donation of unclaimed bikes and police bikes no longer used and possessed by the Wheeling Police Department. 11B, resolution authorizing temporary lane closures of Illinois 21 Milwaukee Avenue and Illinois Route 68 Dundee Road on Sunday, November 24th. 11C, resolution authorizing a third amendment to the contract with B&F Construction Code Services, Inc. for inspection services to increase the contract to an annual amount not to exceed $255,000. 11D, resolution authorizing the village president to execute a letter agreement with Kimley Horn for professional services for the Wheeling Town Center Enhancement Project in the amount of $153,300. 11E, resolution approving change order number 1 and final to the contract with Lavard Construction for aggregate material delivery and debris hauling in fiscal year 2024, increasing the final contract amount by $16,000 from $60,000 to $76,000. 11F, resolution approving a second one-year renewal contract with Lavard Construction Company for aggregate material delivery and debris hauling for the total amount not to exceed $80,000 in fiscal year 2025. 11G, resolution reducing the required compensate, oh my God.
Compensatory.
Thank you, compensatory storage credit to the Village of Wheeling for Fire Station 42. 11H, ordinance amending Title 9, Vehicles and Traffic, Chapter 9.24, Schedule A, designation of yield Intersections, Section 9.24.010, Schedule A, designated of Wheeling Municipal Code to designate King Court at Jenkins Court as an intersection with a yield sign.
Thank you. Any questions or comments? If not, motion to approve.
So move.
Trustee Lang, second. Trustee Papantos, roll call.
Trustee Vito?
Yes.
Trustee Papantos?
Yes.
Trustee Vogel?
Yes.
Trustee Krueger?
Yes.
Trustee Lang?
Yes.
President Horker?
Yes.
All right. 13?
Yes, please.
Okay.
New business.
13A. Oh, wait, this is the Jeff, is she here?
No, we're gonna go.
We're going to go? Okay.
All right. All right.
13A, ordinance granting a variation from Title 19 zoning to permit a reduction in the minimum required front yard setback for the installation of a front yard fence at 157 West Jeffery Avenue, docket number PV 24-0011.
Mr. Clicker, before we get going, the reason I was asking is because there was scheduled to be a sign language interpreter here, but we're okay to go ahead.
I've talked to the petitioner. They're comfortable with me presenting for them, and if necessary, me writing out some questions for them.
Excellent, thank you.
So
what do we got?
the property owners at 157 Jeffery seek a variation to ask some relief for the front yard setback of a fence. As you can see with the aerial photo there, this is a property that is one of those corner lots that technically has 2 front yards. So at the Plan Commission, they requested and they were granted a unanimous recommendation to approve a fence with a reduced required building setback on the north side of the property from 25 feet to 9 feet. There were 3 conditions that they placed with it, and that is within 30 days from the granting of the variance of the Village of Wheeling, the petitioner shall submit an application for building permit to the Department of Community Development for the fence. 2, the proposed fence shall be angled where it abuts the neighbor to the east as approved by village staff. And 3, the bush on the north side of the property shall be removed. There is, as you can see in the aerial photo, there is a large bush near the neighbor's property. With that, the Plan Commission did recommend unanimously approval of this request.
Questions or comments? Trustee Lang, you have a concern?
So, sir, on your property, on the neighbor's drive next to there isn't a site hazard for?
That's why
pulling
the
out?
angle, that's why it was the condition
So it's
placed with the
lower.
angled, no, the fence will be angled back, so it won't come square out to the 9 foot.
Gotcha. So that eliminates all of the.
Correct.
Okay.
Any other questions or comments? Trustee
Is that
Vito?
bush the evil buckthorn, or is it a
No,
regular?
I don't know if it's buckthorn.
All right, I don't want any buckthorn in this town. All right.
If there are no other real questions, we'd be looking for a motion to approve.
So moved.
Trustee Papantos, second. Trustee Vogel, roll call, please.
Trustee Vogel?
Yes.
Trustee Papantos?
Yes.
Trustee Vito?
Yes.
Trustee Lang?
Yes.
Trustee Krueger?
Yes.
President Horker?
Yes. You're good to go.
I know, I'm just writing out a note.
13B, ordinance granting a variation from Title 21 signs to permit a wall sign on a non-permitted facade at 365 West Dundee Road, Ala-Carte Entertainment, docket number PV 24-0010.
Mr. Clicker, are you all set?
Yes. As you'll recall, this item was before the village board once. The petitioner asked it be remanded as they changed the design of the sign. So it went back to the Plan Commission and again received unanimous recommendation for approval. It is back before you for now an approval of the wall sign on the west facade of the building.
So we have a different picture but the same place. Any questions or comments? Nothing? Nothing? Motion to approve?
Second?
Motion trustee Lang, second trustee Krueger. Roll call, please.
Trustee Papantos?
Yes.
Trustee Vito?
Yes.
Trustee Lang?
Yes.
Trustee Krueger?
Yes.
Trustee Vogel?
Yes.
President Horker?
Yes. Number C.
13C, ordinance amending ordinance number 5442 for the Prairie Park Condominium final planned unit development to modify the final landscape plans for the village at Prairie Park Townhomes, Smith Family Developers, docket number PSU 24-0023.
Mr. Clicker.
Yes, this is an amendment to the PUD plan. This is one of those matters, small matters that after a project gets developed, when people realize that maybe the original plan wasn't exactly the way it should have been done. In this case, there was a proposed landscape row along the northern edge of the property up against the diversionary channel. And quite honestly, once the project was developed and the landscaping was installed, the developer has requested that that landscape edge not be put in, as it really would actually be harder to maintain the remaining landscaping on the site with this in there. It would be almost impossible to get a mower through and matters along that. So they did make the request to amend the PUD with the Plan Commission, and it was unanimously recommended for approval.
Questions or comments? This will be the final,
Yes, for the villas, yes.
right, sorry. No questions or comments, motion to
So
approve.
moved.
Trustee Krueger, second.
Second.
Trustee Vogel, roll call.
Trustee Vito?
Yes.
Trustee Lang?
Yes.
Trustee Krueger?
Yes.
Trustee Vogel?
Yes.
Trustee Papantos?
Yes.
President Horker?
Yes.
13D, ordinance granting special use for the final planned unit development approval for Lenny's Gas and Go on Hintz Road and Old Buffalo Grove Road, LLC, 1750 and 1798 West Hintz Road. Docket number PPUD 23-0004. And 13E, resolution approving the final plat of lots 1 and 2 in Zales subdivision for Lenny's Gas and Go on Hintz Road and Old Buffalo Grove Road, LLC, 1750 and 1798 West Hintz Road, docket number PSU BP 24-0003.
Thank you, Mr. Clicker.
Yes, both of these matters before you tonight are for the final PUD and the final plat of subdivision. Both of these are really perfunctory in measure. The actual approval of the development, if you will, happened at the preliminary where conditions were placed. And if the petitioner has complied with submitted a final document, which it complies with the approval that was granted at the preliminary, it is only proper to approve the final PUD. They have done that. They have presented to the Plan Commission a plan that is in compliance with the preliminary PUD, and the preliminary PUD, or the conditions, some of them still did remain because the Plan Commission did want them to remain with the property. So those conditions that remain are the irrigation plan shall be updated to reflect the right-of-way dedication and will be confirmed at permitting. 2, overnight customer parking on the site is prohibited. Overnight parking for the site means the parking of a vehicle in one spot continuously for a period of time exceeding 4 hours at a time during the hours of 10 p.m. to 4 a.m. the following day. This excludes employee parking. 3, there shall be no diesel fuel operations of any kind between the hours of 10 p.m. to 4 a.m. the following day. And then conditions were also for the soil remediation reports confirming that the site has been remediated shall be reviewed and approved by the Village Engineering Department prior to the issuance of any village permits. And 5, the no further remediation or NFR letter from the Illinois Environmental Protection Agency, the IEPA, shall be received by the village prior to the issuance of the temporary certificate of occupancy. With those conditions, the Plan Commission recommended approval on a 6-to-1 vote.
Mr. Clicker, is there a standard procedure for receiving NFR from the EPA?
Yes, and the developer is going through that process. The site is first cleaned, environmental tests are done. The IEPA then generally requests that an ordinance be adopted by the village prohibiting the use of groundwater. That was done by the village recently, and as even in the one resident who came up stated with the email from the IEPA, that has been now received by them and is being reviewed by the IEPA for compliance. That is the last step that's involved in the review of the no further remediation. So in all reality, this is in the bureaucratic process of a no further remediation letter of the IEPA.
Thank you, Mr. Clicker. Also, the land relative to being blighted by definition of the EPA, is that anything similar to being blighted by the county for the purposes of a 6B type process?
The IEPA, the
Are they
definition-
related?
No. The IEPA doesn't really have a definition of blight. Again, the resident who came up did state that they have a definition of a brownfield, and this would comply with that requirement or that definition. It's not really a requirement for anything with the IEPA. It's just a site that it falls into one of their categories.
Thank you. We have other brownfield sites in town.
Correct.
I'm sorry, I jumped ahead of anyone. Questions?
Right. On that same track, the reason the property, not the area, the property was determined to be blighted, Director Clicker, was in order to grant the 7B, correct?
It's a function of the 7B that the county does require a designation
If it
for.
had been in a TIF district, we wouldn't have needed to
We
do that.
would not have needed to do
because
that. Correct.
So the blighted has nothing to do with the NFR letter?
No.
Or any remediation that's been done?
Correct.
Also, on work that's been done, it's done at risk, correct?
It's one, done at risk, and two, it's work that is necessary to get to the NFR letter. If there's contaminants in the soil, they need to be removed. So the early earthwork or site preparation that is going on is part of the remediation process.
And who is at risk?
The developer.
All right, that's what I just want to make clear, that you, the developer, realize that it's your risk. You've done this before, I'm assuming, at your 27 other sites, if needed, correct? Okay. This isn't your first rodeo. Thank you.
Any other questions? Left, right, up, down? If there are no other questions or comments, I'd like to take these ordinances one at a time. Item D, granting special use for final planned unit development approval for Lenny's Gas and Wash.
So moved.
Motion trustee Papantos, second.
Second.
Give it to trustee Lang. Roll call.
Trustee Lang.
Yes.
Trustee Krueger.
Yes.
Trustee Vogel.
Yes.
Trustee Papantos.
Yes.
Trustee Vito.
Yes.
President Horker.
Yes, now we have E, resolution approving the final plat of lots 1 and 2 in the Zales subdivision for Lenny's Gas and Wash on Hintz Road. Motion.
So moved.
Motion trustee Krueger, second trustee Vogel.
Trustee Krueger.
Yes.
Trustee Vogel.
Yes.
Trustee Papantos.
Yes.
Trustee Vito.
Yes.
Trustee Lang.
Yes.
President Horker.
Yes. Number F, what do we got?
All right. Resolution approving an amendment to the fiscal year 2025 budget for the Chicago Executive Airport.
Haven't seen you in a while. Mr. Spondilis, why don't you introduce Mr. Miller?
Thanks. There's some exciting projects coming up at Chicago Executive Airport, and part of their ability to complete those projects requires some approvals from the governing municipalities, meaning the Village of Wheeling and the City of Prospect Heights. We are here tonight to provide some of those approvals on Wheeling's behalf, and Jeff Miller is here to give you some details.
Oh, thank you so much. I was so excited. I'm also to the resolution before this one because it's so exciting things happening. But thank you, Jeff Miller, your executive director at the airport. You probably all know the Ramada Inn off of Wheeling Avenue. It's been something that the airport has wanted to acquire since probably 1964 when it was built. But it recently came up for auction.
It was nice in 64.
I have a postcard that makes it look lovely. It even had a pool back there. If you allow us to buy it, we'll probably find it when we dig it up. Sky Harbor, as you know, they're one of our new partners. They're wanting to build hangars at the airport. This property, what we're looking for it to be is the front door really for the Sky Harbor development, which allows us some opportunity to develop probably further down the road with Ascension, which used to be Hawthorne to the south. So we worked with Sky Harbor in hopes that we could work with both communities to allow the airport to purchase this land. In return, we would turn back around and put it into the lease with Sky Harbor. When we look at that, I know there are some questions around through the fence operations, and I think everybody here has a general idea of what a through the fence operation is. The FAA does allow that. They have allowed that in the past, but they've been pretty stringent lately in the last decade or so to not allow that any further. Really, through the fence operation means the airport doesn't own it, and they come up with a structure to finance to make it as equal. There's certain things that go along with managing an airport. One of those is grant assurances, and one of those grant assurances said we have to have good title. Well, it's hard to have good title when you don't own the land that you're leasing. So Our airport district's office, which is out of Chicago, which is our region, hasn't allowed a through-the-fence operation in over 2 decades. I highly doubt that they would allow one in this case, but as your airport director, I wouldn't recommend it either. For us, it's the ability to maintain good title to whatever we're leasing at the airport. And then this ability, like I said, we would buy it if we get your approval, turn back around, lease it to Sky Harbor, and they have agreed to let us use their space for the Rock and Run event at the airport, so it should also make for a better environment for that event. With that being said, I would welcome any questions.
My left, it's all quiet, crickets. Mr. Lang, you're more familiar with this.
To verify one
Oh.
thing. The reason is, for this amendment, is because you're going, you'd like to go through with this sale. Obviously, you didn't know when your budget was
Correct. So
produced.
we would be taking, and I brought some notes, since I do not have my director of finance with me, the purchase price is $3.343750, so almost $3 million and about $400,000. And correct, we would be asking for the budget amendment. This is coming out of our capital improvement projects, completely financed by the airport, which leaves us about $3.5 million in that fund as well. But yes, trustee Papantos, to your point, we did not know it was going to come up for auction.
Well, the important part is still just coming off of the airport. Trustee Lang, does it look okay to you?
Yes, well, like the Village of Wheeling, the airport also likes to pay in cash when we can.
Yes.
A few people who can. Any other questions or comments? Awesome. Motion to approve?
So moved.
Trustee
Second.
Vogel, second. Trustee Papantos. Roll call, please.
Trustee Vogel?
Yes.
Trustee Papantos?
Yes.
Trustee Vito?
Yes.
Trustee Lang?
Yes.
Trustee Krueger?
Yes.
President Horker?
Yes.
13G, ordinance prohibiting the use of groundwater as a potable water supply by the installation of the use of potable water supply wells or by another method within the certain area in the Village of Wheeling, and repealing ordinance 5565, 5572, and 5637.
Repealing ordinances. Mr. Becker.
President Horker, trustees, since
Not the
NFR,
Lenny's, is it?
nope.
No, it's the old
It's, this is the old Midas site.
There you go.
The board has heard this item no less than 3 times. It did get rejected by IEPA, and the correct ordinance is attached. There was some legal issues with the engineering firm, so hopefully this will be the last time we hear this request. It is a critical site in the Village of Wheeling from a commercial development standpoint, being at the southeast corner of Wheeling and Dundee. And with that, if there are any questions, but
Well, we approved it several times before, and it looks like all we changed was the
fourth time,
address.
fourth
so-
time, sir.
Questions or comments?
So moved.
Right. Motion, trustee Lang, second,
Second.
or not. Trustee Vogel, roll call, please.
Trustee Vogel?
Yes.
Trustee Papantos?
Yes.
Trustee Vito?
Yes.
Trustee Lang?
Yes.
Trustee Krueger?
Yes.
President Horker?
Yes. Official communications, this falls under Stop the Insanity. Tomorrow is Election Day.
Well, can I read?
God, I'll be so happy when it's over. Go ahead. Yeah, I get this look. Yeah, really? You want more, really? I'm sorry, go ahead.
That's okay. The polls are open from 6 a.m. to 7 p.m. Election Day registration and voting. On Election Day, voters who are not registered or have an address change can register and vote at their home precincts or one of the election day vote centers. The closest vote center near Wheeling is Rolling Meadows Courthouse at 2121 West Euclid Avenue. If you are unsure of your home precinct polling location, go to www.cookcountyclerkil.gov or call 847-499-9085 for assistance.
Anybody else? Don't all jump in there. If there are no other questions or comments, we do have some bills to pay October 17th through October 30th, 2024. Need a motion for their approval.
So moved.
Motion, trustee Papantos, second.
Second.
Trustee Krueger, roll call.
Trustee Vito?
Yes.
Trustee Papantos?
Yes.
Trustee Vogel?
Yes.
Trustee Krueger?
Yes.
Trustee Lang?
Yes.
President Horker?
Yes, okay, that concludes the regular business for the evening. We do have an executive session this evening for pending, probable, and/or imminent litigation, also the purchase or lease of real property for the use of the public body. That being the case, I need a motion to recess into executive session and adjourn the regular meeting.
So moved.
Trustee Krueger, second.
Second.
Trustee Papantos, roll call.
Trustee Vogel?
Yes.
Trustee Krueger?
Yes.
Trustee Lang?
Yes.
Trustee Vito?
Yes.
Trustee Papantos?
Yes.
President Horker?
Yes, recess. You guys don't have to go home, but you probably don't have to stay here either. We are going to adjourn to executive session in the back room at about 10:15, 7:15, forget that time.